recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
Give a guy a big nose and some weird hair, and he's capable of anything.
And that man's name is Frank Zappa.
How does Frank Zappa want to be remembered?
It's not important.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Zappa!
Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts some music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today in Machino Music, it's Mothers of Invention album ranking. You're probably wondering why I'm here. Okay, here we go. Mothers of Invention album ranking. Now this is airing December 21st, which would have been Frank Zappa's 83rd birthday, which is incredible to think about. Also, this year marks what would have been FZ's the 30th anniversary of his passing, which was December 4th, 1993. So I thought to mark this, do a Mothers of Invention album ranking, because we did a Frank Zappa's entire discography. We'd be here all day. I mean, he's got so many albums. And I first learned of Frank Zappa, actually it was the news of his death on Entertainment Tonight in 1993. I had seen him previously, once again in a clip from the aforementioned, I mentioned this special many times, the legendary Saturday Night Live Wayne's World Music A Go-Go special. And I was kind of, who's this? And then, here he passed away. I actually couldn't see Frank Zappa surviving in this current world, this current environment, this current climate. I mean, the political landscape, just everything that's going on. And he'd have a lot to say about it, that's for sure. And, a lot of the stuff, he was ahead of his time. So, he kind of, in a way, predicted a lot of things that, ended up happening. So we're marking this, and I'm only doing 1966 to 1970, which is the classic Mothers of Invention lineup. I think a lot of people's favorite lineup tends to be usually the 73, 75. The overnight sensation, a one-size-fits-all lineup. Also, I'm very close to including the Grand Wazoo, or going up to at least that album. But I thought, no, it's kind of just that classic Mothers lineup. Because, of course, you had, in like, post-1970, you had Mark Volman and Howard Kalin of the Turtles, the legendary Flo and Eddie joining the band around that time. So I just wanted to keep it just really tight and concise in that little pocket there. So let's get into it here. Starting at the bottom with Burnt Weenie Sandwich. Kind of a legendary album. This legendary sort of in the Frank Zappa lore. The Burnt Weenie Sandwich. I had this rock and roll cookbook, which had all these different stuff. There's the favorite dishes, favorite recipes from different rock stars and pop stars and stuff. So it had this, and Frank Zappa's contribution was the Burnt Weenie Sandwich. So I'd heard about this just when I was really starting to get into Frank Zappa. And then I found out there's an album with that name, so I gotta find this album. And this one's not bad. I mean, these are very tough to rank because there's so much going on. I mean, they're so different each album. But this one I kind of put at the bottom because I always kind of felt there's not a whole ton of variety on it, and it's bookended by two cover songs. You got WPLJ, which is like wine, port, lemon juice, which Frank said he thought, and he's not a drinker, not a drug guy, so he wouldn't be drinking this concoction in this song. But he did say that he thought it was like the stupidest song ever written. He just thought the song was so dumb that, you know, he couldn't make it any more ridiculous, so I'll just cover the tune and just kind of do this tribute because he loved doo-wop, but also just kind of make fun of it too and mock it a little bit. So you got that. It's pretty well a straight cover, but it's kind of a little odd. And that's originally by a group called the Four Deuces. And then the last song of the album is another cover tune, a song called Valerie by a group called Jackie and the Starlights. And you know, it's okay. And I mean, I find it just being bookended by two cover tunes, and then the rest is kind of like you got. It's just not a whole ton of variety. I mean, the theme from Burt Weenie Sandwich is like a big long jam. You got Igor's Boogie Phase 1 and 2. They're both 37 seconds long. Little House I Used to Live In, 18 minutes, 42 seconds. Big prog kind of thing. Frank was a big influence on what would become prog rock. Doing these long jams and guitar solos and stuff. There's some great instrumentation on this. ABC I like. Fun little instrumental ditty kind of song. I mean, so, you know, I mean, it's, I just find like there's not a whole ton of variety on this album. But yeah, Burt Weenie Sandwich, that's where that ranks for me. Next I'm going Weasels Ripped My Flesh. Great album cover. And again, another one I feel kind of like Burt Weenie Sandwich, where there's a lot of great stuff on here, but it's kind of like, it's just not like one thing. It's like kind of like, it's a bit, you know, a little all over the place. I mean, the big hit off of here, one of the only real Frank Zappa, like, classic hits that he had, you know, a whole ton of hits that actually made it on the radio. But My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama, great song. Such a classic. Instrumentation on that, really funny song. Oh No is kind of a fan favorite. Get a Little, I thought was kind of cool. Toad of the Short Forest, I really like. The title track, Weasels Rip My Flesh, is 2 minutes of just noise, just feedback. So I mean, it's not the kind of album you just kind of put on, really, because it's a little all over the place. But you know, some good stuff on here, and there's a good blues cover on here, Directly From My Heart to You. I always really like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just this album cover is so classic. Weasels Ripped My Flesh. And then Frank there on the back. Cool picture of him there. Alright, this one was hard. I'd probably go higher with this one. I don't know. Absolutely Free. I could only find my cassette of this album. I didn't have a whole lot of Frank Zappa. I usually had Frank Zappa on CD or vinyl. But this one I have on cassette. This is like a very early, what you could say almost like a masterpiece of Frank Zappa. There's a few things on here, the few songs on here that are just like, nobody was doing this kind of stuff. I mean, Brown Shoes Don't Make It is just an epic. I mean, that's like it's like a rock opera in a lot of ways. But it's Frank Zappa and the Mothers style. I mean, it's kind of exposing kind of the seedy side of government, and just how these rich politicians and these fat cats live, and kind of the dirty stuff that they're doing, kind of making fun of that. I mean, it's dirty, like it is like, but I mean, within the realms of, you know, like, it's not like real any direct profanities on it, but yeah, I mean, if you listen to that now, it's still going on. These this kind of stuff. So really ahead of its time, still holds up. That was a big spit I just did right there. But yeah, Brown Shoes Don't Make It is just a classic. You also got Uncle Bernie's Farm, which is actually a Christmas tune. It's about like Santa Claus trying to save like it's Christmas from this like evil toy maker and the guy making all these violent toys, which again still kind of holds up. This is 1967, so this kind of like the commercialization of Christmas idea was it's something, and it was being satirized by Frank Zappa even back then. Yeah, I mean I really always liked Uncle Bernie's Farm. I played that, I believe, on a Christmas special I did on my old radio show. Status Back Baby is fun. Always really dig that tune. Big Leg Emma was kind of sort of, they wanted it to be kind of the single that the record company I mean, it's very politically incorrect by today's standards, but Big Leg Emma's a fun tune. Yeah. Call Any Vegetable, the legendary Call Any Vegetable. A song that made people think, oh, definitely this dude's on drugs. No.
You mean you weren't high when you did Call Any Vegetable Man? You didn't get high with the original Mothers?
No. He just had a warped brain that was able to come up with this stuff without having any chemical manipulation. But yeah, dig it. These are hard to rank. Okay, next I'm going to go Cruisin' with Reuben and the Jets. This one could be a little higher. I don't know. I mean, the concept of this album is absolutely brilliant. I mean, Frank Zappa and the Mothers did not get their music on the radio. It even says right here on the cover, is this the Mothers of Invention recording under a different name in a last-ditch attempt to get their cruddy music on the radio? So they perform under this different name. Frank even went so far as to put a younger picture of himself. He's Reuben Sano here. And there later was a group called Reuben and the Jets, inspired by this, which is more of a straightforward group. But this is a total spoof, and according to legend, there were a number of radio stations that were playing these songs thinking it was this great doo-wop group. Think, oh, well, these are... And then they realize, oh, well, it's Frank Zappa and the Mothers, those crazy guys, and then they trashed every copy, threw every copy in the garbage, because they were fooled by this brilliant practical joke, you could say. I mean, there's a few songs on here that are really fun, but it kind of makes you wonder like how some of these may have slipped by. I mean, later that night they were playing that one. There's some lyrics on there. I mean, what doo-wop song? What straight doo-wop song mentions having your sharkskin suit thrown out on the lawn onto a pile of dog waste? Are you really listening to the lyrics, radio DJs? Love that tune. I always really like that one. And there's also some like odd time signatures in a lot of these tunes, which just adds to the brilliance of it. I mean, it does sound like a different group in a way, but if you're really listening, it's definitely mocking the whole idea of, these sort of fun poppy doo-wop tunes, and apparently it did fool some people. But yeah, this could be higher. I know, I always really dug this album. Yeah. So yeah, that's where that one goes. Okay. Next, this might be a little, I don't know, this Uncle Meat. This one, I mean, I debated kind of where to put this one, but I think there's just a few songs on here that put it up for me. And that's usually what happens on these rankings. I tend to say that a lot of people, like, sometimes all it takes is like that one song or a few songs that kind of put an album up a little bit higher. And for me, Electric Aunt Jemima is just one of my favorite Frank Zappa songs, one of my favorite Frank Zappa and the Mothers tunes. Just a weird song, not even actually about Aunt Jemima. It's just like it's actually apparently about Frank's amplifier. His guitar amplifier is Electric Aunt Jemima. It's like that story, Ozzy Osbourne asking Frank, the song Montana. Oh, that song's about cocaine, right? No, it's about dental floss. There you go. So I mean, you think that these weird songs have some kind of like, oh well, he had to be, No, it's something usually really, really ridiculous that the song's actually about. But yeah, love Electric Aunt Jemima. Also really love the song The Air. That song's really funny. Another one of my favorite Frank Zappa and the Mothers tunes. And also Mr. Green Jeans is really funny too, which also starred an urban legend that Frank Zappa was the son of Mr. Green Jeans from a later song called Son of Mr. Green Jeans. Son of Mr. Green Jeans from the Captain Kangaroo show. All these urban legends about Frank Zappa, which are, because people are like, who is this guy? You gotta figure out who this guy is. And who are these maniacs around him? Also really like Dog Breath in the Year of the Plague. It's a cool song. Dog Breath. Also you have the epic King Kong songs. You have Prelude to King Kong on disc 1. This is a double album. And then you have King Kong itself and right through to part 6. And that closes out disc 2. Also, I have to mention Tango na Minkia Tanta, which is, I think was like a later addition to this album, is like just making fun of like Italian macho guys, and it's this guy singing in Italian, and I think it translates to I've got a big dick, or I've got a whole bunch of dick, or something. I mean, it's a dirty song, but it's so funny, and sometimes I randomly get the song stuck in my head. Some situations where you don't want to be walking around have Tango na Minkia Tanta stuck in your head, but I don't know. I always really dug that tune. Really funny. Next I'm going Freak Out. I almost had this at number 1. This was my big introduction to Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. I mean, this was just, it's just in a pile of records. I believe it came from, I mentioned my Uncle John on this program. Got me into a lot of different music, and I believe this was his record. I'm sure my parents were not getting this album. But I found this and just thought, what is this? What is this album cover? Who are the Mothers of Invention? What the Freak Out? And yeah, I mean, even the back here, Susie Cream Cheese, what got into, and this whole like manifesto from Susie Cream Cheese describing the mothers, saying that they all smell bad and and nobody likes them, they're crazy. Yeah. And the inside here, I mean, this is an original copy of this record. Just so many great tunes on here. I mean, Wowie Zowie, You Didn't Try to Call Me, You're Probably Wondering Why I'm Here, Trouble Every Day is a classic. That still holds up. Another tune that still holds up today, so ahead of its time. Big rockin' tune. Yeah. And the lyrics, especially that's like 2020 and some of the stuff that Ben Chapman there, oh man, still holds up. Yeah. Really cool. You got the whole, and also like it's a double, and for a first album to be a double album, that's insane. Nobody did that. So you got this whole record. This one's busted, unfortunately. This is and again, original copy, has an initial on it. BP. So it must have been acquired from somebody named BP. Big Poop, it probably stands for, because only a big poop would be so careless with a record that would actually bust. Actually, for the longest time, I had never heard the beginning of Hungry Freak's Daddy. I had no idea what the beginning of that song until I heard it much later. And also, never heard the beginning of Return of the Son of Monster Magnet, where it was cut off. I mean, it's just so, yeah. But yeah, I mean, this could have been high. I mean, this is just no other debut album like this. The first Mothers of Invention record. So, kind of had to be pretty high up there. But my number one, I have to go, We're Only In It For The Money. I mean, this one, I think a lot of people would say this was the Mothers of Invention masterpiece. A satire of the 1960s hippie scene, which they were kind of thought to be a part of, but really they were just making fun of it the whole time, and this album really shows that. It's a lot of just like stuff that nobody was doing. There were some straight tunes on here, but there's also a lot of just like tape loops and like record scratches, all kinds of sound effects and weird stuff that, you know, you hear this stuff as a kid. I was like the weird kid listening to Frank Zappa. You know, I was listening to Frank Zappa, Devo, Blondie. I was listening to all these music when everybody's listening to all this mainstream stuff. This is what I was listening to. I was that kid. So, but yeah, I mean, I like some of the current stuff, but really, this was the stuff I was into, and yeah, no wonder I turned out the way I did. But I mean, Who Needs the Peace Corps? So funny. I love that song. First time I ever really heard like swearing on an album.
I will love everyone. I will love the police as they kick the shit out of me on the street.
Absolutely Free. The song appears on this album. Flower Punk, which I believe is supposed to be kind of a takeoff on Hey Joe by Jimi Hendrix. Really strange song, but I love it. Really funny. You got Concentration Moon, which is kind of comparing a hippie commune to a concentration camp. I mean, you can tell that's pretty dark, but so funny. I mean, this album really just is a masterpiece, and of course it parodies the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and just classic. I love how they have Lee Harvey Oswald getting shot. That's one of the celebrities, the famous people. So dark, so funny. Nobody was doing stuff like this, and I mean, Frank Zappa's truly an original. There will never be another Frank Zappa. Whether it's with the Mothers of Invention or his solo stuff, all the different versions of the Mothers of Invention. I just wanted to do just this tribute to Frank because, you know, he's always been a huge influence on me. One of my heroes, one of my Mount Rushmore of influences. I also want to mention this here. I took this out. This is Dweezil Zappa, his son. Good-looking guy, Dweezil. Big unibrow. Big burnt unibrow there. But this is a pretty cool album. Dig it. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big Frank Zappa fan. I always have that big poster watching over me. He's my guardian angel. That's right. But yeah. I mean, so much. You could do so many shows on Frank. I mean, there's so many different eras, so many different things. Just, I thought this was the easiest to kind of do, just the Mothers, and just sort of go from the 66 to 70. I tried to rank these out the best I could. They're a little difficult. But, I mean, really, all of these are, like, great in their own way. There's so much variety. I mean, you'll never be bored listening to these albums, that's for sure. So, if you're a Frank Zappa fan, if you want to celebrate along here with us, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.